who is comfortable enough to renew a mortgage right now, and who's comfortable enough to feel secure that their job will be there next week. TK mentioned debt collectors, which was a brilliant
Litigation lawyers
answer.
too.
Right?
Litigation
Litigation
lawyers
The,
are
lawyers.
the
also,
repo man is going to do okay, eh?
Repo
yeah,
man.
yeah.
But I mean, I just don't know how this. I don't see us having the position we need to hold on for 8 months. Like 8 months sounds like it'll be a real big mess to have to figure out. Especially when we don't forget about Doug Ford kind of taking on the leadership role. We really don't have a government in place at the moment. And aren't we about to get hit with more increases on the carbon tax in like a few days? How are we going to deal with all this shit? Pardon my French.
Yeah. And so my answer on that one, Darryl, is you got to do something. And
Mhm.
sometimes in this kind of world, some is better than all. So, for example, development charges are a real block to affordability and getting more homes built.
Oh yeah.
So what if you waive development charges? What if you compensated municipalities in other ways to invest in their arenas, the roads, the bridges? Using Ontario government as we do during times of crisis to help fund infrastructure,
Mhm.
people working, and then clear
Jobs.
the way for more homes being built. Similarly, reward municipalities that have speed up the approval process, which costs, raises the price of a home, thousands of dollars each day in inflation when things are delayed. You could have a program that helps with loans or steadying developers, or on the buyer side. Interest rates will come down. That's I guess, a positive outcome of all this. So yeah, I agree. You're not going to solve all of the problems around uncertainty. Now you don't need half the problems, but I think it'd do something. And I think it put more people into homes and keep the construction sector active while we go through this challenge in our export industries.
Before we go more into some of the federal stuff that's going on, just because you've been in politics for so long and you've seen budgets and you've heard the other side. Because as somebody who's never been in politics, we're looking at it going, okay, so you're going to turn this parking lot where right now you're collecting $25,000 a year in property taxes. We're going to put 400 units on top, and that afterwards you're going to be collecting $1.2 million a year in property taxes, right? But you still
Sure.
want to have $100,000, $50 to $100,000 a unit in development charges in order to be able to pay for these additional services. Where's that $1.2 million of annual property taxes going forward? Like, what's the holdup on these development charges? Like, obviously, if it could be done, it would be done. I'm not saying like this is like a conspiracy and the municipalities are all just like they literally can't. Their budgets don't allow for it because they're expecting this to come. But those development charges will never come if the property's never built. Like it's never gonna. They won't be a building. They'll just be a parking lot. It's actually they're gonna miss out on income by not waiving development charges and allowing the construction of that property to be built. What's going on, Tim?
TK, that's just too much common sense. That's why you'll have no future in politics. Stick to real estate.
Okay,
Too much
that's
common
No,
that won't
sense.
be an issue.
it's a great common sense point. I worry that the development charges and the double land transfer tax in Toronto are like the heroin of taxes. They're just addicted to it. They get a high. It can go into a bit of a slush fund. It doesn't necessarily go where you want it. Municipalities are sitting literally on, that's why I looked, about $7 billion in development charges, just sort of sitting there in the bank. What do you do about it? Two things. I think that you need to have people like, let's see, Ontario Real Estate Association, where I was, Treb, the home builders, just continue to pile on and point out. And TK, employ you to do this too. The logic you laid out that they're going to get more money in the long run by a steady stream of property tax from homeowners than they would in a one-time fee for development charges. So keep beating that drum until you win. There are signs of progress, right? We did see Vaughan, for example, dramatically reduce, I think eliminate their development charges. Mississauga now
Almost, yeah.
is
Mhm.
following suit. Governments can reward them. So if you do this as a municipality, you move to the top of the list for that hospital, that arena, whatever the big project is, you reward that behavior. There is an exciting model moving forward as well that we championed when I was at AREA, which would turn water and sewer more into a utility. So you don't have to pay the upfront development charges at once, which can be 60 to 70 grand on the price of a home. But just like we would build new hydro lines, you pay over use over time, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, right? Like paying down a mortgage, that lowers the upfront costs, and future users help pay that down. So I can tell you the province of Ontario is looking at import and putting that model. It exists elsewhere, including in some municipalities in Ontario, and that will take a significant chunk off the price of a new home.
Yeah, the water and sewer, I understand when you're building in Vaughan or some rural area and stuff like that. But the infrastructure in the core is pretty much already at the rate, the flow rates and all that are already at the level that will support that building. It's strictly now just like well, this is what the development charges are. And so yeah, it's really hard math. It's very, 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 very difficult math when you start looking at exactly how much money could be obtained from 5 years of property taxes compared to those development charges. And then more importantly, which is what we're dealing with right now, and what Darryl was kind of alluding to when he was saying, well, it just doesn't make sense and things aren't going to get done, is ultimately it's pricing. Like there's buyers for every product. If you can take 100 grand off the cost of an $800,000 house, condo, townhouse, wherever it is, you'll have buyers. Trust me. There'll be people just right now at 800 for that product. There's no buyers. So it's like take away the development charges, Darryl, for you. Obviously, the developer couldn't take away any of their costs; they're already razor thin margins. But take away that entire amount that the was being passed on to the buyer, and credit to them that 100,000 roughly, give or take, and all of a sudden you're going to start seeing people go, well, maybe I should move to Orangeville or wherever it is that they're moving to.
Are you looking for the best merch store on the planet? Well, we got the shit for you. Coming in at low prices where we barely make any money off of whatsoever, you can get the greatest real estate merchandise on this platform. Just look at this very flamboyant man putting on this great stuff. He looks great, he's dancing great, and boy does he look sexy in that merchandise. I tell you, buy this for anybody, you buy this for yourself. You will be not only repping the greatest Canadian real estate podcast in this world, but you will also be looking hella good doing it.